Hi everyone, and welcome to the very start, the very beginning of what I hope is going to be an exciting journey as I write and create and perform my own solo show. I have no idea how any of this is going to play out, but I have had an idea for a show in the back of my mind for a very long time, and I'm looking forward to getting started on this journey. Now today is going to be just a little introduction, and I want to talk a little bit about why I think people should create their own solo work, why I have decided that now is the time for me to create my own solo work, and the motivation behind all of it. But first, we haven't been properly introduced. My name is Jonathan Davenport. I'm an actor from Watford in Hertfordshire, and since graduating from drama school at the tender age of 24, I've worked on and off for the past decade or so, doing mostly theatre work, including 6 years in a touring mask theatre company, a little run off Broadway, a lot of Shakespeare, and many Edinburgh Festival fringes. I've also dabbled in some short films, independent features, a smattering of TV, and even turned my hand to writing and directing an online comedy series called Quirkology, which if you're interested in watching can be found right here on YouTube, links in the description. Right now I'm currently working on a 9-month UK tour of An Inspector Calls. It's my first time working as an understudy on such a major production, but more on that later. So it seems that what used to be considered quite a niche subsector of the theatre world, performed by the more eccentric of actors.
Why don't you like me? Chapter 1, my first period.
Has suddenly taken a huge surge in popularity. What was a small handful of shows that managed to break through into the mainstream is now a saturated market. A lot of performers are now on the West End, touring the country, even the world, with their own solo work. Indeed, Fleabag has done so well for Phoebe Waller-Bridge, it's skyrocketed her career. So why? Why make a solo show? And why have I decided to join the many people taking this creative leap of faith? Well, aside from the fact that these days, with so many arts cuts going on, there are definitely financial benefits to creating a solo show. There are fewer people to pay, there are less costumes to make, less set to deal with. There are a few other reasons that might spark someone into wanting to create a solo piece of theatre. Now, these days, casting directors and agents, they're probably not going to accept an invitation to come and see a one-person show when they could see a showcase of potential clients, a smorgasbord of actors in a ensemble piece for the same amount of time. So if career progression and getting an agent is your goal, unless you already have a very solid relationship with industry people, casting directors, agents, that you know will come and see you, then I probably wouldn't suggest putting all your time and money and energy into creating a solo piece of theatre. So that means the play that you want to create has to come from the story you want to tell. And for a lot of people, that story is their own life. Like Fleabag for Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Or it could be more of a raconteur, anecdotal kind of show, like Ian McKellen on stage, but you are going to need one hell of an interesting life if you're going to be able to pull that off. So perhaps it's somebody else's story, perhaps it's a fictional character, like Guy Masterson's Shylock, or Tim Crouch's I, Malvolio, or maybe it's a person from history that you admire, or a celebrity. Bob Golding found that he could do a great impression of Eric Morecambe, and after many years of being coerced, he finally agreed to create Morecambe, the one-man show, which did incredibly well and ran off the West End for a long time. Another reason for wanting to create your own work might be that you have a particular skill set or a particular talent that you can utilize in your performance, but the auditions are just not coming up where you can. Musical instruments, accents, puppetry, mimicry, circus skills, gymnastics, cooking could all come up in your show. Interior design, maybe? Relationship counseling, juggling, tea making, antiquing, sword fighting, wood carving, illustration, painting. If there's something that you do that few other people do, there may be a story behind it. There may be a history behind that art. Use it, utilize it. You never know, there may be a story there somewhere. Quite a lot of ideas for solo shows come from historical figures or political ideals that people feel very passionately about and feel deserve a greater exposure, and that a theatre show will be the best platform for it and that an audience would find interesting. I've seen solo shows about post-war trauma, about the refugee crisis, about digging for oil in the Amazon. If there's something that you feel passionately about, that you know a lot about, but you feel others need to know about as well, and critically you found a good story to base it on, then yes, absolutely, me, get that message out there. For me, the idea that I have kind of encompasses a lot of those different reasons. But the reason I want to start now, the reason why I think now is the time to start working on this show, is the same reason why I think a lot of people write their own work.
I just wanted to work as an actor. I wasn't able to get a lot of jobs outside of the group I was in. I know that I had to write a show so they could see what I was capable of doing.
At the end of the day, every actor knows that you are your own business. You've got to think professionally. And so, for me, I'm creating the castings that I know I'd be good for, but just aren't coming my way. Now, if you're an actor and you're watching this, you have almost definitely been in the same situation where you're sat back and you're watching a play, or you're watching a TV show or a film, and your friend next to you, or even your family member, or whoever you're watching with, turns to you and says, "You'd be good for that. You should audition for that." "Oh, really? Oh, really, should I? Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, all right, I'll just head down to Downton Abbey tomorrow then." So, anyway, the one piece of advice that I was given that has stuck with me for a very long time is, the best work you'll ever do is the work you make for yourself. I mean, I'm not going to lie, the decision to get started on this project now was brought about by a huge period of no work. I get really annoyed with actors on Facebook and Instagram these days who seem to believe that there is this huge importance on at least looking like you are in constant demand, that you're constantly working, as if a week off might be detrimental to your career and you might be on the shelf as an actor. I mean, even at the beginning of this video, I started off by reeling all of the jobs that I'm happy to tell people that I've done for years and years and years, as if it's just another day at the office, when really I'm conveniently skipping out the years and years of waiting and rejections and the jobs that nearly came my way but I didn't get and went off to somebody else when I knew that I could have done the job better. But it's important to recognize that it happens to all of us. Now, before this turns into some motivational lifestyle vlog, let me get back on point. And now the following story is going to make it sound like I'm blowing my own trumpet for a little while, but stick with me, there is a point to all this. Now, you remember that web series I told you about? The second series of that took a long time to make. Together, we created, co-wrote, produced, and directed 8 episodes over the course of just over a year. And to our surprise, more than anybody's, the series did quite well and gained a little attention from the BBC, and they asked us to create a pilot episode, and so we launched into writing this brilliantly crafted pilot episode of comedy genius for BBC 3. Anyway, very long story short, the pilot episode got to within a hair's breadth of succeeding in a pitch and going to pilot, but it just didn't make it. It wasn't going to happen. Now, don't get me wrong, the process was incredible. We had so much fun, we learned so much, but professionally speaking, as a business, I had now gone 3 years without any acting work. My agent almost forgot I existed. All the stuff that we were doing wasn't paid at all, and I was now finding it incredibly hard to get the castings in. And it happens that that year I went up to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival to watch 3 separate friends perform 3 different shows that they each had created themselves and performed in themselves. And that gave me the impetus I needed to say, right, now's the time. Now's the time that I should be doing the best work that I can, making it for myself. And as it turns out, I already knew what I wanted my show to be about. And I'll tell you in the next video. Now, as it turns out, as I mentioned before, just as I'm getting cracking on this idea, I get myself some acting work. The irony is not lost on me, but as I said at the beginning, I am working on an incredibly long, a 9-month UK tour of An Inspector Calls. The show is brilliant. I love the production. And actually, this is very fortunate for me because I'm understudying 2 parts, which means I had a very busy rehearsal period, but now that we're out on the road, I have a little bit of ensemble work to do on stage, but for the most part, I'm sitting in my dressing room waiting to go on stage, giving me the perfect opportunity whilst I'm in work and getting paid, but also sitting around in a dressing room with not much to do, to get cracking on researching the subject of my show. And I'm going to tell you all about that in the next video. So if you have got this far, thank you very much for sticking around, and I hope you will stay with me as we go from start to finish of this entire journey. So if you have any experience, any advice, any resources that you think might be helpful, please comment, please let me know. Any of it would be greatly appreciated to me right now, as I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm excited to try. Please do subscribe if you're so inclined, and if you do want to keep up to date with each video as they're released, then click the bell as well. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.